Hello everybody and welcome to the Internet Computing slash Programming class in this summer. This class is basically the graduate section of the Internet Computing slash Internet Programming course, and here I will talk about the syllabus and how the class is going to be structured and delivered. If you have any questions, you can access my contact information either through the Blackboard or by email, and then you can send email to me and talk about the questions you have. The course number for this class is COSC6341. It's offered in the summer of 2013, and it is delivered online through the Blackboard learning system. And all of the modules and components of the class are online. We will have 2 office hours, one on Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. and one on Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. And the link to that office hour is going to be on the information page of the Blackboard course section. And during those hours, you can click on it, and it'll take you to the Adobe Connect meeting environment. And we're going to have, I'm going to be there online, and if you have any questions, please pop by, and then we can discuss, and then I'll try to answer your questions or any topic you'd like to be discussing. And of course, you can email me either through the Blackboard or by my UHV email address, or you can also call my office hours during that time if you have any questions. This information that I'm talking about right now before we start the class is going to be tentative. Some of the things may change, and so anything that changes, there will be announcements and notifications on the Blackboard section for the class. And the syllabus is basically meant to be a guideline as to how the class is structured, but since it is a kind of interactive class, we will see how the class is progressing, and some topics we may discuss and explore more, some topics we may discuss and explore less than what we have in mind in the syllabus. The description basically specifies the class as a introductory to web programming concepts, algorithms, and applications. We will talk about client and server-side programming using HTML, active server pages, and web database programming. You would have to be familiar with the object-oriented and databases a little bit, but this is not really necessary. Any information that we need to discuss, we will actually introduce them before we need to delve into the topics in the areas. We would like to, by the end of this course, for the students to have an understanding of the web development techniques, an understanding of how to use active server pages framework, or basically rather the .NET 4.0 framework, and have a hands-on experience with application programming for the web applications. The required text material is basically the beginning ASP.NET 4 in C# and Visual Basic. The book that I'm using for this semester is a 2010 version published by Wiley Publishing, and the author is Spanjaran, who has a bunch of books published in using active server pages, Visual Basic and C#. There is a new version for the book, essentially discussing the 4.5 framework, .NET framework. I'm sticking with the 4.0 because, first off, the difference is very, very minuscule actually, and the technologies of 4.0 may be more available, and more students may have access to them, whereas if you use 4.5, then some students, based on the the platform they're using, they may not have the latest framework. Although it is not likely, but this is one reason that I'm using the 4.0 framework. But again, as I said, the topics that we will be working in this class are going to be very generic. So learning in 4.5, 4.0, you can apply them to other areas or higher versions of the .NET framework. The main operating system that we need are Windows operating systems, Windows 7, 8, Vista, or XP. If you have Linux, make sure that you have a VirtualBox with Windows installed on it, and you want to make sure that you have a .NET framework. All of the videos that you will see are shown in the Visual Web Developer 2010 Express, because that is again the minimal approach, the minimalistic approach. It's a free version of Visual Web Developer that's accessible through Microsoft web page, and I'm using again the 2010 version because again some students may not have access to 2012. However, if you have Visual Studio Professional, Visual Studio Express 2010 or 2011, Visual Web Developer is one of the components in the IDE, and you should have no problem running your programs in. Which one is preferred? Really, whatever version of Visual Studio you have or Visual Web Developer works. Since you're a UHV student, you can access and download and use Visual Studio from the DreamSparks website. Go on to DreamSparks, search for, under the student section, search for the University of Houston Victoria Information Technology Department. There you would be able to request an account, and within a couple of days your account should be authenticated, and you should have access. And then you can go on the web store on DreamSparks and download any product from from Microsoft. So you can get Visual Studio 2010 or 12, and essentially use the Visual Web Developer for your programming. If we get into the dynamic data processing over the web, we need to make sure that you have Microsoft SQL Server 2008 Express Edition installed. And chances are, through the installation of the components for the .NET Framework and your Visual Studio, you may be asked to install it. If not, you can just go on the Microsoft website again and access it. It's free, and you can install it. And there you will be able to maintain a local database on your computer on which you can write your programs. And of course, the framework is .NET. We will essentially, at least early on in the semester, just use plain text editors like Notepad or any other text editor to write your projects, HTML projects. The question is whether or not you would want to do it, even though you have Microsoft Visual Studio and Microsoft Visual Web Developer. The reason that I'm expecting you to write the projects, some of the projects from scratch, especially the HTML ones, is that, you know, in the real world you may not have access to Microsoft Visual Studio. Maybe you're just using Linux, you know, or Mac operating systems. So the web applications, really, they do not necessarily, for the kinds of applications that this class is concerned, require any IDE, any specific IDE. We use Microsoft Visual Web Developer because it, you know, we can use IntelliSense and a lot of other features to make writing our websites more convenient. But Microsoft Visual Web Developer is not a necessary component to develop projects for the web. As far as the assessment is concerned, you will be expecting to have about 4 homework assignments throughout the semester, making up 20% of your grade. Then there is going to be 2 projects, 20% of the grade. There's going to be a midterm examination for the 25%, and 30% is going to be your final project, and 15% of the grades going to be your participation. It's an online class, and one of the issues with online classes is that people are accessing the content, you know, not synchronously. And so somebody may access the course in the evening, somebody may access in the morning, somebody may check their class every Tuesdays or every Tuesdays and Wednesdays or 2 hours a day. So to keep the class coherent and interactive, there are going to be discussions posted every week, and you are expected to answer and reply to those discussions. And also, if you have any problem, there's a student helping students section that you can go on and post issues, and other students can respond to that and share with you solutions that they have found. And so this kinds of participation is what makes up 15% of your credit. And the total credit is going to be 110. 10% of it is going to be extra credit. For the graduate section of the class, the grade A is your final average. If it's greater than 90, if it's between 77 and 89, it's going to be a B, and the rest of it, C, D, and a fitting grade, are designed according to this table, the second table here. I do have a late grading policy for assignments. Basically, if your assignments are submitted by the deadline and your projects are submitted by the deadline, they're going to get they're not going to be penalized. So whatever grade you made, for example, if your grade for that assignment, if it was on time, was 92, then it's going to be 92. If you're 1 day late, basically within 24 hours after the deadline, you submit your assignment, there's going to be 6% penalty, 25% penalty if you're 2 days late, and 56% penalty if you are 3 days late. And for 4+ days, I generally don't grade. However, if there's something unexpected happens, and a medical emergency or any kind of emergency happens that you couldn't make the deadline, please let me know as soon as you are aware of it, and then I will work with you to get you a new deadline, and then the new policy is going to be applied to your new deadline. The tentative schedule that we will be looking at is basically this week we will talk about the introduction to computer networks in the web, essentially just showing you the difference between the World Wide Web and the Internet. You're going to have your introduction homework assigned this week. Then there's going to be the next week we will talk about the topics in HTML programming, hypertext markup language programming, and the basics of Visual Web Developer. And again, as I said, I use Visual Web Developer Express 2010 edition, but the user interfaces and everything is going to be quite standardized within Microsoft Visual Studio products. Then the next 3 weeks we spend the time to talk about ASP.NET Server controls, server-side programming, and then uniform programming of your web pages and your templates and navigations through the website that you're developing using master pages. And then we'll have our midterm. After the midterm, we talk about more of server-side versus client-side programming through validating user inputs and user communication. And then the last part of the class, we focus on advanced data programming and database programming with the ASP.NET framework. And then the final week is going to be your final project. Finally, the last page of the syllabus talks about general policies as far as academic integrity, plagiarism, any information that students with disabilities might need to know, and contact information for those who might be able to help, and as well as the student services contact information and the general student conduct are on the third page of the syllabus. So please download the syllabus, read through it, and make sure that you completely understand the syllabus of the class. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. So with this, I welcome you back to the class, and we will the next item for your first week of the class is to go and watch the lecture video in the second learning module that is in your course content for the first week, the internet and the web. Thank you.